Good morning. Today we are going to start with the next module, number 4, that is titled as Pedestrian Safety and Ergonomics. So this is very important aspect of our course, though it is of more information and informative that we should always remember and know for our safety point of view. Especially we all are pedestrian when we don't go in car and we move on roads. So anyone are there on the roads are all called pedestrian, right? So their safety, particularly in traffic, is what is very important. So the standards classify the pedestrian as different types, and we need to understand the pedestrian types, and then what are the safety measures that government of any country that they are imposing or undertaking. All something that we should have a knowledge of this. So today's class I'm going to more present on pedestrian safety, maybe morning session. Then we will see in the next lecture, this first two lectures we will see pedestrian safety, that's morning session, and then we will get into what are ergonomic aspects of automotive design. Ergonomics means it is comfort. It is involving human with the machines is what is ergonomics. So as drivers, occupants are there in a passenger car. So the ergonomic aspects are the priorities that are given so that the passenger are pleasant during the drive. They are not under fatigue. They are able to do their intended task and so on. So we are going to have learning of these two aspects of pedestrian safety and ergonomics in automotive design is what is the content of this module 4. So let me share my screen and start my lecture. Hope you are able to see the screen. So this is lecture number 20, module 4, pedestrian safety and ergonomics. So what are the lecture points of this particular module? So we are going to study about and first hand pedestrian safety, and then what are the importance of ergonomics in automotive safety, and there are location of controls of your vehicle. They are to be in appropriate location so that it would always be beneficial as far as safety and cabin environment is concerned. And then anthropometry. The anthropometry means the measure of human body. So the dimension of human inside the vehicle are mandatory measurement according to their gender, according to the shape or size. That means there can be occupant children, there can be adults, there can be elderly people present in the vehicle. So there are variety of occupants, and the anthropometry is what is very important. And then human impact tolerance. So what are the so you can say this is dimensional tolerance as far as to avoid impact of human during a course of accident inside a vehicle, and so on. And then determination of injury threshold, severity index, study of comparative tolerance, and study about some briefly crash dummies. Of course, we have dummies, a separate module, and injury mechanisms and a separate module. In this module, we will have these all highlights. So these are all the lecture points that we are going to have in this particular today's lectures, and tomorrow maybe one period I'll take. And see that is it not going to next page? Yeah. So look at now the pedestrian safety. As I was telling, there are pedestrian types. So young children, young adults, male pedestrian, gender rules, elderly, then low socio-economic status. See, this is important. Low socio-economic status and intoxicated or distracted pedestrians and disabled pedestrians. So pedestrians in low income countries. So these are various types of pedestrians that the standards classify, and the descriptions are there, could be read here. So young children means it's approximately 21% of road accident deaths involve young children, right? So the description is what is that accident severity as far as this pedestrian type is concerned. For example, if you look at here, the elderly have the highest risk of mortality of all pedestrian when involved in vehicle accidents. So that's obvious. So because they are already weakened and they're should be very careful. So they will have fatality rate more compared to that of others could sustain or survive. So like that, this is a kind of table that we have to be aware of when you talk on pedestrian safety. So the relative risk also is given here. So see, it is very high risk for elderly people as well as for children compared to the of adults or male or other gender comparison between women, girls, and so on. And also you see here, what is this low socio-economic status? A strong inverse relationship is found between the socio-economic status and risk of pedestrian injuries and fatalities. So what is this strong inverse relationship? So the high the socio-economic status, the lesser the pedestrian injury, because and this is all from US standard, and the data or this table is compiled referring to this particular publication. Like that, you would understand. So intoxicated or distracted pedestrian. So intoxicated and distracted pedestrians from what are that means from mobile devices put pedestrian at high risk. So when you drive, you have your mobile phone speaking. That would happen like this. So also you see there are group of disabled pedestrians. So visually impaired pedestrians are elevated at risk from drivers who yield inconsistently and unreliably, right? So these are the description, the severity that type of pedestrian involved is given in this table. So we should have this table information in our mind. So today's lecture, I'm going to look at what would be the scenario or the enforcement that is on our country. That's from Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, Government of India. And I have referred the website from Jharkhand Police website. And this website has got a fantastic guidelines as far as this pedestrian safety, also the road safety in a whole is concerned. So I thought this would be a very good material that we should go through, and not only for the purpose of learning, also for the purpose of following. So everyone, including me or you all, or anybody, should follow this safety norms on roads. So see here, though pedestrian is the most important constituent of traffic, he belongs to high risk group on road. In order to remain safe from perils of road, the pedestrian should cultivate the habit of using road infrastructure in proper manner. There are subways, zebra crossing, foot over bridges should be used in the cross. It should be used to cross the road. Then shortcuts and easy options on crossing the road are dangerous and should be avoided, right? So this is what is that you see that first on this particular link, if you go, it's highlighted in their website. So see, there are some action on the road will keep you safe. What are those? Walk with care with all saints. We should be very conscious when we are on the road. And look towards oncoming traffic. Never assume driver has seen you and you are about to cross the road. It's your responsibility to save yourself. So see, what is this slide and what is this pedestrian safety that we talk is, though our course is all talking about vehicle crashworthiness, and we have this important module that as you are non-occupant of passenger car and you are on road, what all the measures or safety that we need to follow is what is all about this module topic. So avoid crossing road where drivers may not be able to see you. Wait for suitable gap in the traffic flow before crossing the road. Never jump over the driver railing. This is very sorry, divider railing. So this is very important. So there are dividers. Then what we do, we would be in a hurry. Then we think that we can jump over the divider railing instead of using the overhead bridge. So you may be tumble on the traffic. That means you will flip or you'll no fall on the road. So always hold hands of children while crossing the road. Avoid using road for morning walks and jogging. So we should not have a habit of, we could see still many people walk on the road, but it is better we should avoid morning walk and jogging. Take extra care if you have to cross the road on or near crest or a curve. So visibility of the end of the road may not be that good in a curve. So we have to be careful. Avoid crossing road between parked cars. Avoid crossing road between parked cars. So what would happen? There are tests it is conducted. So when the cars are parked and you are crossing, there is a car that comes ahead, may not be, the driver may not know that you are crossing, and that would take you to meet with an accident. So especially there are pedestrian safety aspect to account. Many of the high-end vehicles are come out with an active safety measures like emergency braking system in the vehicle. So there are standard tests conducted if the vehicle is at this particular speed driven and a pedestrian is crossing, how the vehicle to respond. So such videos are available. Maybe time permits, we'll look at those such videos end of this lecture. So these are all some important aspects that go in to save ourselves when we are on the road. And children are more susceptible. Children are more susceptible to the dangers of road. It is not solely the drivers of the vehicle who cause accidents, but carelessness of children and lack of awareness which add up the cause of accidents on road. We need to teach our child to walk on footpath, encourage him or her to use subways, zebra crossing, etc. If you will do the right thing on the road, your child will follow you and will remain safe in traffic. So if we do obey the rules of the traffic, and our children would also get to learn from us. So that is what is an important message as far as pedestrian look is concerned. So this is the do's and don'ts. So don't cross like this the divider, and children to be educated to use subways instead. And there are mandatory road signs that help us. So you see there are driving license that we take, and you are being required to give a test, and you are being required to exhibit that you are very much aware of these all road signs. So these signs are obligatory on a traffic which uses a specific area of road. Right? You could see the signboards on the roadsides. These signs indicate what must one do rather than must not do. So see that nice word statement. What is that we supposed to do, what we should not do, rather emphasizing on that. So we simply follow that sign rule if we understand the sign on the roads. And mandatory road signs are generally round in shape with red border. Some of them are blue in color. Stop and give away are octagon and triangle respectively in shape. So see, when you see stop, you would have octagon around the symbol. When you see get, give away, then you'll see it is inside triangle. Violation of these signs attract heavy fines and punishments. Importantly, violation of these could lead to major accidents. See, these are the signs that I have picked it from the site, and I have put it. So you see that stop sign, octagon shape, give way, triangular shape, no entry. This is all we know that, but we may not retain in mind, but we should be looking at it. I purposely spend time to collect them and organize in my slide. And this is what I feel that no, most important lecture of our course. So, see, there should be no entry sign. We should understand one-way sign, and there's one way ahead, one way this side, and you can read this. I would upload this, and you can read this indication given. So there will be one way here. What is the difference? This indicates that the traffic flow is allowed in one way direction. The way beyond this sign restricts entry of the traffic. However, oncoming traffic flow remains normal. Right? So what is the difference between these that you just to see? And then vehicles prohibited in both directions. So you see there are roads, and then you suddenly you see the sign that means in both the direction that side the road should not, vehicles should not be allowed. All motor vehicles prohibited in some areas. And you may see this kind of signs may be suddenly kept when mandatory requirement of road for a particular task of VIPs are going. So suddenly you see this type of thing, and then we should be aware and not to go and no occupy the road in an emergency situation of a particular event that is happening. And then there are areas where trucks are prohibited. So you'd see the symbol. So anything that is prohibited, you see that with the cross sign with the circle. And this is all some important sign that we may go through, read. We may have some quiz questions on this, right? And then cycle prohibited, pedestrian prohibited. So you would see this sign in highways. You especially see this pedestrians are not allowed on highways. So right turn prohibited. So you go, but though you have a way to go to right, you'll see suddenly, please do not go on this side. So you would see such kind of sign. U-turn prohibited. So though the road divider breaks, there is a way to take a U-turn, but that is very, very dangerous to take U-turn there because maybe it's a road junction and you take a turn that would disturb others. So you would see these signs all many times in the road. And there are no parking, no stopping and standing. See, the no parking is with one cross, no stopping and standing with two crosses. Horn prohibited in hospital zone. You would see this as we should not unnecessarily create noise on the road in those areas. There are speed limit signs and width limit. So the vehicles with 2 meter tread, no less than that only can go. So there are width limit and height limit of vehicle. And you can also see there are length limit of your vehicle, load limit of your vehicle, axle load alone, its limit, and there are zones restriction in sign. So if you are driving for a long way on a highway or you go to one station to other station, suddenly you would see that after some time, such kind of circle with the black cross line, and that says what any restriction conveyed through sign on the road ends here. So far you would see such kind of road signs and you suddenly see this, that means there it ends. The sign indicates that restriction imposed by the sign or signs is no more valid beyond this point. However, drivers should not be complacent and take care of all safety measures to avoid accidents. So you see that you are on a highway, one particular city to other city. So the highways also have to pass through the cities, maybe outer ring. But once that you are out of the city and you have to travel for a very long distance to enter the next city, you would see there would be such signs. Now the road is free of any indication signs mandatory signs on the road, and it is your responsibility as a driver should be very carefully driving on the road. Again, you would see that no such signal signs would come on the highways. So this is something like an orange light in a traffic. So when orange light is there, we are not warned anything, right? You see in late night also in our country, when you go in roads, you see the traffic signals won't be functioning. Instead, it will be glowing in orange color. That means it's the driver's responsibility that or the pedestrian responsibility is that to cross and see, take your alert and then go. Something like that. This symbol emphasize on highways. And there are also signs with this blue circles inside. So it is compulsory turn left. So so far what was that is don't cross all. What is all must do things always, right? So compulsory turn left means you have to take a left turn, that whatever it is, and then compulsory head. You can't take any, though you have a chance to take. You see such sign, you should have to go ahead only. There is no diversion possible, and compulsory ahead or turn left. So you will have both option. Any either of that you can do it, and compulsory keep left. So keeping left is given by this. Compulsory turn right. You have to turn right. Compulsory ahead and turn right. So you could see compulsory ahead and turn left, and similarly turn right. Compulsory cycle track. So the cyclist on the road should go in that cycle track only. Then compulsory sound horn. Maybe this is important. There are school children crossing or nearby. You should not make a horn. At the same time, there are compulsory horn sound horn required, means there will be more pedestrian involved in those areas suddenly. So you are given. Then similarly, you also have compulsory bus stop and so on. So these are all something mandatory signs, rules, road signs that we have seen. And there are also cautionary road signs. So see, narrow bridge. So you are being given a caution. Then when you are driving, the bridge ahead is very narrow. Please take care. And there can be a vehicle coming on this narrow bridge. Then you should see that you have to wait, and that crosses and you have to go. So this narrow bridge is a kind of cautionary road signs. I have not put many of them like that. There are many. I just have put few of them in the slide. And there are slippery roads. That's very dangerous. See, because you know what would happen on a slippery road. There is a chance of hydroplaning phenomena if you don't keep your speeds in limits. And then loose gravel. There can be road construction going on. There are loose gravel. Roads are not cleaned. No, then you would have this, because loose gravels again would be very dangerous, because they would have relative motion between your tire and the road. So what would happen? It is as good as you would lose your steering control loss if it is on that. It is like a fluid but of solid particle. So loose gravel is very dangerous, especially two-wheelers. If you are driving and you see suddenly you go on the gravel and you apply a brake, you would be skidding. I had experienced such kind of falling from motorcycle. So very carefully we should drive on the road. And then cycle crossing. So these are all something cautionary road signs. Cycle crossing means there are cyclists, and then we have drivers should carefully cross the intersection, as a cyclist could cross the major roads safely, right? Earlier, there should not be no cycle crossing signal you've seen, but now it's warning for drivers that there are cyclists and cycle crossing ahead. So that's called cautionary road signs. And you also have an informatory road signs. So when you go, you see suddenly you require to fuel your vehicle. Such signs would be giving you an idea of there is a petrol pump ahead, and there's a hospital nearby. And then there are motor highways. So you have eating places available, and the first aid and so these are all kind of informatory road signs. Of course, the informatory road signs are that you see in highway. You would see the highway diversions are there. What is that diversion take you to what cities? So you see the names of cities ahead that you are driving. So I have just put some samples, and you can refer to our website of Jharkhand Police official website, and then you would have more and more information. I just taken a glimpse of that for our lecture. And you see, there are licensing. We know driving licensing, driving license is very important. What is the procedure that is followed in our country? So broadly, there are two types of driving licenses. What are those? Everyone knows. I think most of us, most of you have also got your driving license. So you would have got first the learner license, and that is valid up to 6 months. And before that, you should exhibit, undergo the test, and show that you are able to drive with all safety norms awareness on the road, and you have developed the skill of driving without causing trouble to others as well. And then you go in for permanent license. There are eligibility, and those are listed. I just have put it here instead of reading it for the time constraint. I just go ahead and leave it to you to read. So how to acquire driving learner's license? So there are points here. And similarly, how do you get your permanent license in our country? You got these all the points here given to you. And what are the mandatory requirements of documents that are supposed to be submitted as well? So, though I have taken it from Jharkhand Police website, these things, so you would see that every state they have got their own site, and this is from police department because they do care much, and they are given the official website very nicely. I was very much going through. In fact, I have not gone through so much in this thing. Teaching this course made me to realize it's very important that everyone should be aware. So that is why I think I too had to read a lot in this, and then I have prepared the slide in an organized manner to all of you. Please spend time on reading everything, and I would ask many quiz questions from this. And see, there are causes of road accidents from the website, and you see there is a van here hit on the tree. So severe accident. So the road accident, most unwanted thing to happen on the road user. Though they happen quite often, we don't prefer them to happen on the road. The most unfortunate thing is that we don't learn from our mistakes on road. Most of the road users are quite well aware of general rules and safety measures while using roads, but it is only the laxity of part of the road user which causes accident and crashes. The main cause of accidents and crashes are due to human errors. There are some of the common behavior of humans which results in the accident. So that I have just put it down here from the website what I have read through. You can again go and read in detail each and every one of them. So overspeeding is very important reason why you are getting. So you see 50 kilometers per hour is the speed limit, but you are overspeeding there. What would happen? It would happen something like this accident. Then drunken driving. So that's very important thing that every adolescent and most of the people do drink and then they drive. That is what is the main reason for accidents. So we could see that in news many times the road living humans. They are being struck by the cars, expensive cars, and go. This is all because of the reason of such unwanted act. And distraction of driver. There are many advertisement boards on the roadways, and get distracted, and then it's all happening. Then there are red light jumping. So in traffic, you could see that you are very honestly, you are on the sign, you're looking at it and you don't go, but you see suddenly people would jump on the red light signal without obeying the red signal, and that also would be a cause of accident. Avoiding safety gears like seat belts and helmets. So though we know the pedestrian safety is very important, and we have been witnessed and talking more on this seat belts and helmets, and that's to be wore and cannot be avoided on road. And non-adherence to learn lane driving. Non-adherence to lane driving and overtaking in a wrong manner. So this is also again you could see and get annoyed when you drive properly. Also, people don't follow and they overtake you in a wrong manner. And the lane driving is very good habit. People do not adhere to that. So you are in highway, you please hold your lane and then you go in a cruising speed. So there is absolutely no issue from you for others at least. So like that, lane keeping discipline is there. I think we can avoid many of such accidents on a highway. So this all for this aspect, the various national international researchers have found these as most common behavior of road drivers, and which leads to accidents. So whatever that we have listed is not only in our country, it's on many of the any road, any accidents you see in any country. These are some of the unwanted or to be corrected behaviors that is observed in the human. And there are helping accident victims. See, accidents are to be avoided, but in case of emergency, there accident happens, you have such kind of facilities, no emergency ambulance that can rush there. And there are guidelines, how do you go about doing it? So priorities of treating the accident victim. So what all that can be given here. So asthia, so that's loss of oxygen, and then cardiac arrest, severe hemorrhage, that is bleeding, other injuries, illness. So these are all something what would be immediately no witnessed in accident people. So immediate requirement is critical for 4 minutes is one of the most common cause of accident death is due to loss of oxygen supply. This is mostly caused by blocked airways. So this is all something that's given. So follow the rule ABC. What is that? Airway, breathing, and circulation. So if something accident happens, what is our habit is we feel pity and every people run around and rush and crowd around the victim. That should be avoided. So there should be an airway. So clear airway for breathing track. Then only an accident victim would get. And breathing, help restore it by mouth to mouth resuscitation. And then circulation, stop any bleeding. So these are all something first aid that would give. Otherwise, we should not no disturb. So we should immediately call for ambulance, and then that will rush with the known medical practitioner or the staff nurse would be there to take care of victim. So there are driving mistakes that are commonly given, though we have been seeing it. I could see these 9 points are very nicely given. So losing attention is one of the reasons. Driving while drowsy. So you are tired, you know that whatever may be the emergency, you should avoid driving. If you are drowsy, you are about to sleep and then you drive is not recommended. And becoming distracted inside car because of cell phone suddenly coming or your music system or other passengers that are present, and failing to adjust to adverse weather conditioning. So you see there are slow down and rain, and when rain is there, your speed should be reduced. So you have to accordingly adopt your motion of a vehicle to the environment. So sudden rain, you cannot drive as you drive without rain condition. And then allow longer stopping distance and adjust the poor visibility. So there are fog lighting that's to be put on and we drive in the early morning and foggy zone and so on. So driving aggressively is also another reason or another common mistake that drivers doing it. And changing lanes without checking blind spots. So what are blind spots? Signals, check mirrors, then use quick glance. So without putting your signal, without looking at the side mirror, you suddenly change your lane. That is going to cause life. So that's very carefully we should do it. Sometimes we may forget. No, you don't see the rear mirror, rear view of your vehicle, and then suddenly you take lane change. That's very unfortunate event would happen. So this all can be some common mistakes. It's not intentional. Then these are all mistakes that can happen to be avoided. changing lane without checking blind spots. So 2 times it's there, sorry. And then again, making assumptions about other drivers' intention. So we can't make an assumption, right? Okay, that other driver would come like that. So if I put my signal, so he will not, he would listen to my signal, then he would control his vehicle. Don't think like that. Or you may see that's a high-end vehicle that's coming on side mirror. So they have adaptive cruise control. So even if I take, they will not hit, if you make such judgment. That's not good. So always no, don't presume or assume the other driver's intentions while driving. That's very important. And then ignoring essential auto maintenance. So we have been given, when you buy a car or a service manual, so you are given a chart and views when you have to go for regular maintenance of your vehicle. That is mandatory that one has to do it. So if you do not do it, no, again that would cost a lot. So brakes, lights, and ball tires, all to be something which is to be checked, and their replacement periods are advised in the service book, and we're supposed to follow that. So these are all something, no, common mistakes during driving that has to be understood carefully. And then we should also know about school buses. So look at the children, how do they, the parents are put the children in school bus and they go to school and come back. And they are always naughty. Kids are always the same nature. That's not their mistake, but we need to educate them. So children should be taught that while boarding the bus, how do they have to board the bus? Do not hurry. Wait till bus stops. Enter the bus in a single file line. So they see one by one. The first picture here, you could see that they are entering one by one, and then whole hand rail and enter. So they have to have a support and go. So this boy is doing it nicely here. Right, ensure that your bag and clothes don't get stuck anywhere. That's very important. See, all tiny, nice bag, and they do take care. And what is not to be done is this. You could see on the other side. So don't play in the bus while you go. And then even you're seated here, you have to sit very carefully in holding rails, and don't walk in the inside the bus and so on. So these are all something we have to definitely give or educate our children. And then we can ensure the safety as they go to school and come back to home. And then the safer cycling tips. The children are very fond of cycling, and then they go. They're supposed to know when they drive on roads, there are cycle lanes. It's not all the roads have got cycle lanes, but we should educate them. As bicycle is most popular and widely used non-motorized vehicle, a cyclist should know the traffic rules. Almost 40% of injuries, fatalities of cyclists happens to children below 16 years. Never learn cycling on public roads. So learning should not happen on cycle. So go to playground, school ground, and most others are there. Learn that. Learn it in safer places like parks and playgrounds in the presence of an adult or parent. Your knowledge of cycling is incomplete. We think that it's incomplete if you do not know the preliminaries on road safety, right? So it's not that I know cycle, I know drive without any problem. I can ride my bicycle with taking out of my hand. All fine, joyful. But you should know some road safety, and we should educate our children for that. And there are tips given. I'll keep cycle in working condition always. So there will be problem always. You can see the kids are rushing to school with the bicycle, and they will be on the roadside repairing the chain, come out of the chain drive. And that all should not happen. So the cycle should be always in a proper condition. That should check the brakes, tire pressure, bill, all. Obey traffic signals, and then don't overload. Cycle is for one, not for maximum or maximum for two. The kids know they go three seaters like that, and one seaters, there are 2 3 kids would be sitting, and then they will play. So that all to be avoided. So like that, I could see this very interesting instruction, no, very valuable instruction on the site, and should be read through completely, right? And then see, there are guidelines for hill driving. So hill driving is very careful drive, and we can't overspeed there. We have to follow the speed limit. There cannot be two lanes possible, and sometimes on the road, on the hill. See, you could see there is no, it's one road, and the vehicles also no coming in front. So hill driving is difficult task and should be undertaken by experienced and opt drivers. Hill driving is different from driving plain areas and complex topography. Roads are designed differently in hills. Roads are designed differently in hills. The view of driver is restricted due to enormous turns and suffers more fatigue due to excessive maneuvering of vehicles. So this is all something no to be more taken care, and that's where the role of ergonomics come on heavy vehicles which are to go on highways or on like this hill driving. The comfort of the driver is very important. So while driving on hill, drivers should take care about the following points. If you are not up driver, don't drive on hilly roads. So you should have trained driver. You should be a trained driver to drive in such roads. Always follow the speed limits and reduce speed turns. So we know what would happen if you turn no, with the high speeds. On a safer road, it is fine. On hilly roads, you see it should be very slow speed and follow always the speed limits. Always be alertive. Always be attentive and avoid distractions like stereos, etc. Always give priority to uphill traffic by giving it away. So the people, those who are coming up the hill, no, we should give priority for them to give away. Never drive in hills under the influence of alcohol. That's very important. Unfortunate in our country, poor drivers no should be educated, or they're paying to forget they do drink and then drive. That should be avoided. That should be avoided. Don't overtake on turns, curves, and bridges. Uh, don't overload the vehicle. So overloading a vehicle, you know what would happen during smaller braking or acceleration. Small, the starting also there will be heavy load transfer, and heavy loads would make your no axle to fail, or no. There are many problems that involve with the higher loads. Then avoid using clutch pedals in turn and hairpin bends, especially. You would see there are many hairpin bends. You could have driven on a hill station and you could have seen that hairpin bends. So don't use clutch pedal there, because clutch is there acting as a safety one. When you press clutch, what is happening? The wheels are free to roll. If you press clutch, the engagement of your yeah, gearbox from the powertrain is detached. So that means there is no load, and wheels are very free. So that is why you should never press clutch and then go. There are people who think that to save power, fuel, they press the clutch and then come down. So when you drive hill down, you feel that why should I put on my engine? So it's very wrong. So if you do not put on engine, your other accessories may not work. So what people do instead, they press the clutch. So as if it is coming freely, they try to enjoy, but that is not recommended. That is not recommended, should be avoided. So pressing clutch should be avoided. Do not run vehicle on neutral while driving downhill. So people put in neutral and drive. That is also should not be done. Always blow horn in turns. So that's very important, because there can be an upcoming vehicle. Always check the vehicle, especially brakes and tires, before starting the journey. So always check the vehicle, especially for its braking capability and tires. That's what is important. Whenever you feel it, check your air pressures of tires. And especially when you want to drive more than longer distances, this is all precautionary things that one should do take. And driving under fog. So statistics of road accidents have shown that driving in heavy fog is most dangerous driving situation because you do not know an upcoming vehicle on other vehicles, traffic vehicles, other traffic vehicles. We could see there are many WhatsApp videos share that no one vehicle stops or hit the other in the fog. People are just coming on banking. There are hundred vehicles come and bang on one after the other because they could not see what are the vehicles ahead, that complete vision stopped. So in such cases, we should stop driving, we should not drive. That's very important. So it is like driving with the blindfold on. While driving in fog, reduce speed and turn headlights on. Headlights should be on. See here, this vehicle with the headlights on. Always keep headlight on low beam mode. Low beam mode. Uh, so that you can see road properly. So high beam mode, when you put its long vision, that the angle of light focus would be changed for high beam. Low beam would show the nearest surface of the road to the driver. The beam, the high beam does not help in fog as one cannot see through fog. That's why we don't require high beam in fog. If your vehicle has fog lamps, turn them on. While in fog, not only seeing is important, be seen is also is an important aspect. So we are aware that we are seeing what is happening. Also, our vehicle be seen to others. So always be alert, attentive, and take some cautions as shown below. What are those points here is always drive slow in fog, turn on your headlights and keep them in low beam mode, and make sure that you are seen. Turn on your fog lamps and parking lights. Use defroster and windscreen wiper. This is very important. So when you put on defroster only, your mirror won't be no, with the fog. So windscreen wiper is essential because that would condensate and that water droplets can be wiped and you have a clear vision ahead. Always keep safe distance between the vehicles. If it is really impossible to drive, pull off completely and keep your blinker on. So these are all something very important instruction as far as you are driving on a environment which is completely fog surrounded. And then you see there are important facts that are given in our Ministry of Road Transport and Highways from our government. So vulnerability of road users to accident increases during night by 40%. These are the facts. So the accident increase can be 40% more in night drive. And aware and conscious drive reduces the chances of mishap by 80%. So if you have awareness, this can reduce. 90% of death on road are due to head injuries. So head injuries to be prevented. That's what it is important, that your head restraint system is very important. Head injuries because your passive restraint system belts are not worn, and accident, the person would get a hit. So head injury is what is most of the time happens, and that is a reason for fatality. And good quality helmet reduces chances in head injury by 90% for two-wheelers. It is. So use of seat belt while driving reduces the risk of death of an accident during the accident by 50%. See, if everyone wears and follow this, whatever the statistic that we had earlier, and that would come down. So passive restraint system should be used appropriately. Normally, cost of good tires is only 2 to 4% of price of the vehicle. Compromise on the cost of tires can result in damage which cannot be assessed in terms of money. So the tire worn out problem is important. The periodic replacement of tires on vehicle is very, very important. And if you do so, we can reduce it. So these are some of the facts that we could read from our Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. So driving requires all senses. Using mobile phones while driving alert diverts 50% of the senses. So we are very consciously doing it. Suddenly you get a call and you have to attend the mobile. Then you see 50% of our sense, no, our concentration goes in that. There are vehicle is like that. So just to get a call, you don't require to take your mobile and keep it on your ear. Just to press button on your steering, you are able to talk and go. But still, to be avoided. That's to be avoided. So impact on a person by vehicle cruising at the speed of 60 kilometers per hour is equivalent to falling from a four-story building. See how nicely they do compare. While his impact is 100 kilometers per hour equal to falling from a 12-story building. So, so impact on a person. So you are driving and you are at 60 kilometers per hour only, but you go and hit a person. What would happen? It's equivalent to that person falling. The severity of accident would be equivalent to that of falling from four-story building. If the speed is 60, see that is three times, 12-story building falling. So these are all something, the statements, facts are also published now and then is all to give an awareness, alerting people. I don't know how many of them are really looking at this all, though they are aware, but we normally tend to not to focus on that. We should not be over conscious as well. See, when you drive, you should not be thinking of this all. But we should be aware and should always say as we do be safe on road. So this entire credits and then this lecture hour I have spent with you all is all the resource that from Jharkhand Police and their and the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways of our country. Like you have the regulations, road discipline, signals and rules and regulations are for their every developed countries. I thought we would talk this lecture and learn more with purview of what's happening in our country, safety aspects. So with this point of time, we complete now the pedestrian safety aspect is concerned. With the vehicle. So though we have seen most of the guidelines are for the drivers of vehicle, and it's all because of not only the safety of vehicle and occupants, also if anyone follows this, that would definitely ensure the safety of any pedestrian and type on the roads. So that's what we have seen in the very first slide, the types of pedestrian, and any pedestrian safety also would be ensured if this lecture is meticulously understood, taken as of top priority of knowing more and more on this, educating ourselves, we would definitely able to ensure safety on roads, right? So with that, let me stop this lecture and we will go ahead of looking at ergonomics aspects in the following lecture.